The following presentation was made possible by the Alltech Media Group, a Southern California multimedia company providing exponential branding and marketing services to all their clients. The Alltech Media Group understands the value of the 3W strategy, providing their clients proven, trackable results. Let us make it easy for you to grow your business. Visit alltechmedia.com.
Our speaker today began his military career in 1988, receiving his commission from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Reserve Officer Training Corps before attending undergraduate pilot training at Reese Air Force Base in Texas. His first deployment was flying combat missions in support of Operation Desert Storm. He is a command pilot with more than 4,000 flying hours in various aircraft, including the MQ-1 Predator remotely piloted aircraft, KC-135, RC-135, and T-38. He recently deployed to Incirlik, Turkey, as a commander of the 39th Expeditionary Operations Group. He's in charge of over 800 personnel and provides support to more than 200 additional members of geographically separated locations. The wing is the California Air National Guard's exclusive MQ-1 Predator Operations Unit, providing intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance support, as well as tactical combat support to commanders and warfighters around the world. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome the commander of the 163rd Reconnaissance Wing, Colonel Dana Hessheimer.
First of all, I just want to thank the Chamber and Cindy Roth for getting me out here in my nice blues uniform today. Probably the most uncomfortable uniform I have, but anyway. Yeah, just a little bit about, if you don't know about the 163rd, we currently are flying 2 operational caps in Afghanistan. We have for the last 7 years. We're almost up to 100,000 flying hours out there. We also have a formal training unit where we train the pilots, the sensor, and the mission intel coordinators out there at March. We've been doing that since 2009. And then we also have a field training detachment. It's basically where we train the maintainers. So it's all inclusive what we do out there as far as the Predator world goes, the remotely piloted aircraft. You'll probably hear that a lot today. We're here with Jeremy. I'll introduce him here just shortly to tell our story. Everybody has a story to tell. What we did with the rimfire, which was an extremely historic event for the RPAs, getting into the National Airspace System and supporting the American people. That's what we do. We're in the Air National Guard, and that is what our mission is. It's really not an operational mission to be overseas. We're gap fillers for the active duty, but our true mission is to help the American people here. And I think we got a bad rap with this drone word. Like General Baldwin said, a drone's a male bee. It's not an airplane. We truly fly remotely piloted aircraft. There's always a pilot in charge of it. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on out there with the 163rd. A little bit background on this. Look at my notes here. The timeline on this thing, August 25th is when we got the word from state headquarters saying, hey, you guys might want to start planning for this fire. It was up by Yosemite. So we had to work we had to work with the FAA to get airspace because they don't allow us to fly in the national airspace because we're dangerous, I guess. Then we also, the biggest thing we have to do is get Secretary of Defense approval for us to fly a Predator or an RPA, any RPA, in support of a disaster. At the time, if you remember, that was when Syria was kicking up, and Senator Hagel from the great state of Nebraska was actually over in Asia. So once we started the process, that was probably a 3-day process to get approval for him to do that, which I'll go into a story a little bit later on at the end here, which is very problematic. The fires aren't well, they're critical, but like if we're trying to save lives and stuff like that, in 3 days for us to help support the American people, there's lots of lives that could be lost during that time. So we're actively trying to pursue that through our delegation, through other channels to try to get that delegated maybe even down to the governor level, so we don't have to do that huge bureaucratic process to do that. August 26th, we started moving personnel up to the fire. We have been planning for this for quite a while with exercises, so we knew it was important for us to get some RPA experts up at the incident to work with the incident commander, and then also in return to get an LNO of fire personnel down here working with us. So I don't speak fire and he doesn't speak RPAs, so it was a good mesh so we could both utilize what we had as quick as we could. And then August 27th at 1700 local is when we got the approval from the SecDef to go ahead and start doing this. We just happened to be on a training mission right over the fire. It was just kind of convenient. So it was, I think it was surprised everybody when all of a sudden they said, okay, you're approved, and then all of a sudden the camera just comes down. That's how fast we are in our Predator that flies 75 knots. We ended up about 150 hours total flying time. 80 of that was where we pushed our full motion video to the incident commander. And not only to that, we pushed it to 1st Air Force, NORTHCOM. If we could have pushed it to the president. We have means to do that, but the way we do it is extremely with a lot of security, so it just doesn't go out to the American public, because that is one of the huge hurdles we have right now is just the perception of what we do. We don't spy on Americans. It's illegal to spy on Americans. What we have to do, we're extremely restrictive, so the way we get Secretary of Defense approval is called through a proper use memorandum, or a PUM. Obviously, I'm in the military, so I'll speak a lot of acronyms. But the PUM is what it does. It tells exactly what we're going to do, exactly what we're going to look at, and exactly how we're going to distribute our video. So when we're up there flying around, we are helping, but we know exactly what we do. So if we go outside that scope, that's when we get in trouble. So we don't. We're professionals. We've done this for 7 years, and we've just taken what we've learned overseas for the last 7 years and just dropped it on this. So it was extremely easy for us. And another thing I want to kind of get out there, and that was kind of the message we were trying to shape to all the news agencies. I think there's 7 or 8 that came, I think 12 total that came out, this wasn't a military operation whatsoever. This was strictly an operation to support the American people. And that was the message we want to get out there. This had nothing to do with the military. It was just that we happen to be in the military, and we have this great piece of technology that we can drop on and support the American people. So that is and hopefully everybody takes that out of here too. With further ado, like I said, it's not about me up here, even though I was talking for a while. We've done this a few times, so it's kind of... But anyway, here's Jeremy. He can tell you all the good stuff that happened.
They speak fire pretty good now. So real quick, how this happened, it's kind of, I want to give it out to where it belongs, and that's Chief Mark Hafner out of Region. He's a CAL FIRE Region. I think they just gave him a 4th bugle, so he's a deputy chief now. He really put his career on the line for this, and not that they'd fire him, but you could lose a lot of credibility if something like this flops. So if you see him wandering around, tell him way to stick it out there for it, because this was huge. 4 days prior to me getting to the Air Force Base, I was hiking this monster, and it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever done in my life. I've been hiking the hills of California now for about, 12 years. I've been getting paid to do it. But as a kid in the mountains, it's been my whole life. This ground was awful. Everything was steep, even the downhill was steep. Hike for 6-8 hours, couldn't even see it. Couldn't see it. Could see plenty of smoke. But we can't make decisions based on smoke. Everybody hopefully can understand that. You have to see what the fire's actually doing to come up with a good plan to attack it. 4 days. 2 to 3 hours of sleep a day. So when I got to March, I was working on about 6 hours, so I wasn't in the right state of mind to be doing anything high-tech, and I'm not the most intelligent individual out there anyway. I can break stuff pretty good, and I can swing a tool like nobody's business. But at the end of the day, people say, well, how'd you get it? How'd you get the job? Dumb luck. I happen to be working on a new program that we're using called NICS. I say Next Generation Incident Command System, but there's no real next generation. It's just a really cool map that we can draw in real time. So we're not stealing ICS or anything. We're just changing it. My boss happened to say, what about this? I said, sounds cool, but I'm just a captain, so what are they going to do, send me back to my fire truck? It's a win-win for me either way. So boom, get on an airplane, go down to March Air Force Base, and let me tell you what. No sleep, people are the coolest people I've ever met in my life. I'm actually trying to go back into the military with them because of this mission. I'm at this time. So how is it different? In our business, we use our eyeballs. Well, it stinks in an airplane when the inversion layers in. That's when it holds the smoke real tight to the ground, and you can't see it. So even the coolest airplane in the universe with a person in it, it still stinks. You can't see nothing. This thing saw right through all the smoke to the ground from 19,000 feet, and we could see the flames and the embers and spotting and, I mean, all kinds of insane stuff. So before, it took us time, energy, and effort. And what's the bottom dollar? What's the bottom line? Money, right? How much is it going to cost to put the fire out? Let's not kid ourselves. We all believe that we inherently want to help people and save property, but at what cost? Let me tell you what, this thing's a heck of a lot cheaper than most tools out there. The data we're getting now is a day old. We're fighting today's fire on yesterday's map, period. You heard it here first. Well, how does that work when you're fighting a dynamic beast, right? The fire's moving. Well, yesterday it was right here. Well, today it's not. So now your decisions are a day late, dollar short. Problem solved. Can I bang my fist on the podium and say problem solved? Yep. Problem solved. As a fire behavior analyst for the state of California, as a division group supervisor, as a field observer, I'm telling you right now, problem solved. Nah, you know that. And then, last but not least, in the state of California, we have cooperation agreements and relationships with every fire department, law enforcement department, you name it, from water tenders to portable toilets to every fire department, every cop shop in the state of California. And without that cooperative agreement, it's impossible. Don't let anybody tell you that they can do it by themselves, but they can't. There was people, men and women on this fire from coast to coast, border to border, from the entire country on this fire fighting it. And they're still on it today. They need snow to put this one out. And so I just want to reach out and say thank you to the 163rd, making me part of them, and hopefully being able to bring them into our industry. Law enforcement, you could use it, especially in any type of crisis, earthquakes, flooding. I mean, just insert disaster here, they can fly the mission. It's that simple. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to share our story because it's huge. So spread the word, and they're not drones, they're RPAs. Just don't forget that, please. Thanks.
I guess he was reading my notes here. Yeah, what we're looking to do in the future is to support different disasters. The operational mission that we do is important for the troops overseas, but I see it as a bigger thing to support the people back here on the homeland because that's what our guard mission is. So we're definitely going to try to do, if we can get on earthquakes, floods, whenever they may happen. And that's when that human life comes in, and that's when that authority from the Secretary of Defense becomes even more critical. I want to share one last story before I get out of here. It happened this weekend. Got a call Friday night, actually from the headquarters FAA, and I don't know if anybody saw, but there was 2 hikers lost up in Idaho. They wanted us to put a predator on it. So we're like, yeah, let's go ahead and look at it. So then they had a conference call, and then we told them our limiting factors of the time. In Idaho, it'll take a little while for us to fly up there at 75 knots. So they ended up not using us because of those reasons. And I saw the paper yesterday. I kind of looked it up to see what the status was. So it went from trying to find the hikers to a recovery mode just to find the bodies. So I don't think any of those 2 elderly people made it out of there. They found one, and they're still looking for another one. So anyway, that's kind of the frustration levels that we have. Me and Jeremy were sitting there talking after I got the call on it, and we're like, okay, we can be up there in 12 hours. 12 hours we could be up there. However, it's not that easy because we have levels and levels and levels of bureaucracy we have to go through to get this new technology. And it is a new technology, so if people don't know about a new technology, it's just easier for them to say no and be scared of it. So that's why I want to get the message out there, and I try to speak as many these things as many as I can to get that message out there. Once again, thank you for your time.
The following presentation was made possible by the Alltech Media Group, a Southern California multimedia company providing exponential branding and marketing services to all their clients. The Alltech Media Group understands the value of the 3W strategy, providing their clients proven, trackable results. Let us make it easy for you to grow your business. Visit alltechmedia.com.